It is time.
All right, we are here in Galaxy Jams Reacts with our special guest, Russ Lawton of the Trey Anastasio Band and Sole Monday. Thank you so much for joining us, Russ. We have one more song to do, and It's a fan request from Chris Myers of Umphreys Mcgee.
Chris.
Oh, do you know how Umphreys Mcgee got their name?
I do not. Actually.
I was always wondering that, and I looked it up. So Brendan Bayless says that they debuted with the name Fat Tony when they first played. Then within weeks changed to Umphreys Mcgee. Bayless claims it came from a distant relative they met at a wedding. He says, my father's aunt's sister's son's kid. He was just a nice guy. He lives on the farm, I think. Isn't it? Umphreys Mcgee.
Huh.
Great name.
Interesting.
Yeah, super
Super
fascinating.
interesting.
Chris,
So,
all right.
Chris Myers brought us a song from the artist Umphreys Mcgee. He wants you to hear one of his songs.
Yeah, cool. And so he picked this song called Fenced In, which is off of their new album, Asking for a Friend. And Chris said he wanted you to listen to this song. He says that it's a good choice because it is a bit of a departure from what him and Umphreys tend to play at their live shows. He says it's also an exercise in creative interpretation with a swampy groove in a low-medium tempo. So can't wait to listen. This is Umphreys Mcgee from their album Asking for a Friend. However, this is a live performance from the Caverns, August 20th, 2021. This is Umphreys Mcgee with their song Fenced In.
Cool.
He is so natural. It's there between his hands and his brain. It's like broadband connection.
Yes.
That part of the song is like somebody sneaking up on somebody.
Jake is so good.
Nice.
That's really cool.
So what do you think there, Russ?
That's cool. I like, the little turnarounds and like you said, it's a vibe. It's, like the swampy thing, and it's catchy too.
I definitely agree with that.
Super cool. It's right?
Yeah. It's like still reverberating in my head. And
exactly. and then it's one of those things that's like, oh, so if I had to learn it, it's like I sit down and just, whatever. It's cool. I like it. I like Chris too. He's a good guy.
One thing that I really like about Umphreys Mcgee is that even though they make tons of music, they always have their own like original sound that they stick to. And I also will use the term city as well because they have that Chicago sound to them as well. Like that industrial rock type of like city type of vibe, which I get. And then the last thing I'll say is that Andy, their percussion player, really does such a fantastic job because if you just listen to Umphreys Mcgee, it doesn't sound like they have a percussion player. It sounds like they just have a really busy drummer. They both kind of mold together to like create like one soundscape together as opposed to saying that's the percussion player, that's the drummer. They're both separated and they do a really, really good job of providing like a really cohesive engine for the rest of the band to keep going.
That's a very good point. There's a definite soundscape that's happening, especially in these verses. I love to me it has a whispering precision. Just like it's very deliberate. It feels like it's purposefully small.
It's like creeping along.
But like they have so many little parts all kind of participating that it creates like the soundscape that you're describing.
Yeah, I really like Umphreys Mcgee just for the fact they've always been really experimental. And they always produce songs like this and many other things that you never really know, like when you come out with a new album, exactly what it's going to sound like or, what road they're going to take. And this is a pretty cool road they took.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Go on, Russ.
No, I was going to say the same thing. It's like it said, it's a little bit different for them, I would say. But cool. It's got a lot of air in there. I like it.
I know you're staying neutral, free from your obligations. They only make you swear that you wouldn't do that.
And I bet playing in a cave is cool as hell.
Oh, yeah. It must be.
Welcome to our senses to see we've all been fancy.
I love this guitar part.
They're both like stunningly good at guitar.
It's nice.
Adds just a little bit of sass to the song.
We've all been wasting time to slowly file in line. Collective at the edge, we burn the signs as we begin
Nice.
Hey, there's some motherfucker.
Oh, Joel.
Oh my God,
He's a
that's
nice guy.
so funny. Do you remember the first time you ever heard about Umphreys Mcgee?
Yes. I do because Jennifer was living in Chicago then, Hartswick, and she was always talking about them. I checked them out, and then actually I met Chris at a festival somewhere, and I was going to be in Austin the next week, so we got to hang out, and I got to see the show. It was cool. It was at the what's that place? The outside place in Austin. It's really cool. I can't think of the name of it, but yeah, they sound great. Really good.
I met Chris
Cool.
Myers once. I was actually watching this band called Nowhere in Nashville, and I was in this crowded venue, and I saw this guy, and he looked exactly like Chris Myers. So I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, you look exactly like Chris Myers from Umphreys Mcgee." And he just kind of looks at me and goes, "Yep." And then I turn around, I walk 3 steps, and then I do a U-turn and walk back to him and say, "Hey, you're Chris Myers from Umphreys Mcgee, aren't you?" And he's like, "Yep." So
That's excellent.
yes, so it was cool. I got to pal around with him for just a few minutes, and they are really, really nice guys. And they're one of the first, bands I really fell in love with back probably like in 2007. Very,
cool.
very big fan of theirs.
I always like finding artists in the audience.
In the wild.
It happened to me with the guy from Morphine, the lead singer of Morphine, which is his name is Mark Sandman. I was in Raleigh going to see Morphine, and I was watching the opening band, and it's sometimes for opening bands, people it'd be a lighter crowd for opening bands, and I was just standing there, and I was just hanging out and standing by the soundboard and checking it out, and I think it was a Ryan Adams band, Whiskey Town, I think was the opening band, and
Okay.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, this is great. You know, it's going to be awesome seeing Morphine. And I sit there and just turn and look to my right, and there's Mark Sandman standing right next to me. And I'm like, oh, wow, it's Mark Sandman. And I was like, hey, how you doing, man? I ended up getting like my ticket stub signed by him. I'll bring it in. And
It's a great man. Yeah. I'm sorry, cutting you off there.
Oh, no. They're a great band. Morphine's an interesting band, very unique sound. And I was glad to see him. I saw him probably about 5 or 6 times, but I'll never forget that time. Also, that night, their drummer played their entire set. He had a cast on his right foot.
Oh, my God. So, I mean, he's just like thonking that thing down, I guess, right?
Yeah, the whole entire show. Yeah. They played for like an hour and a half, too.
He's a nice guy. I don't know those guys a little bit coming up on the Boston scene.
Oh, yeah.
They had him and the drummer. They had a band called Treat Her Right before.
You're right.
You ever look at
Yep.
Treat Her Right. And then I never forget, I was recording at the studio. We stopped for the night, and Mike Deneen, the producer, was like, hey, Mark Salmon's got a new band. It's called Morphine, and he put it on, and we were all just, with our jaws just all dropped, like, what the hell is this?
It's like 50s spy music with like poetry sung over it in a noir film.
Oh my God, that's perfect.
Oh man, that's my. Everybody says, "Oh, you're from Boston." Yeah, Morphine's the best band that ever came out of Boston.
Yeah, great.
And what's cool too for me was, I remember when the last Treat Her Right show that I was talking to I went down backstage. My friends were opening up. Sometimes like even somebody else's tour, I feel like. But I started talking to the drummer. We ended up talking for like 45 minutes, and I never forget. He said, "Yeah, when you get a band together, it's like a can of worms. But when you get a record label involved, it's like a can of snakes." They got dropped from RCA, and he thought his career was over. And then next 2 years later, Morphine hit, and and of course, Mark passed away, which is very super sad. But I listened to a lot of those records, and they were on Record Disc, which is right. I live about 10 minutes from Record Disc, so I would go over there and get a bunch of records from my friends used to work there. So
sweet,
it was pretty cool. I lived in the cool little neighborhood here, but yeah, whatever. I can talk about Morphine all night.
Hi, this is Mike with Galaxy Jams Reacts. We hope that you enjoyed that React video. Be sure to check out the links below of when we're going to be live streaming our next show and also how to watch full episodes. Please hit that subscribe button. Every single one helps.